Hey cousins, welcome back. If this is your first time here, I am Tamara, and today we're getting into this iced out, glamorous, chocolatey goodness, and also focusing on makeup hacks for skin with hyperpigmentation. So let's go ahead and get right into the tutorial. Y'all, I do have another short video on skin prep for your makeup. For some reason, just making this video longer than 20 minutes just did not sit right with my soul. So that's why I decided to go ahead and make that one a separate one. It is very short, so if you're interested in seeing that, you can go ahead and watch that here. So now I'm picking up my ColourPop Precision Brow Pencil in the shade Taken for Granite, and I'm going to start filling in her brows. As you can see, the white stuff under her brow is a little bit of milk magnesia, so we can have a nice matte base so that product can go on very smooth and we don't have to do a lot of work to make it visible. So yeah, just going to go ahead and continue to fill in her brows. If you watched my last video, you probably remember me saying that the filling in was like 30% of the battle, but the cleanup process was really what's most important. You can see that live and in action on this one because, honey, filling in these brows, that it was not my best work, but you can see that it comes out very good. So don't judge how the final outcome by what you see right now. Once we start to carve them out here, you'll be able to see that they actually come together really nicely. So you know, work smarter, not harder. So now I'm going to go ahead and start to carve out her brow. I'm going to use my Morphe concealer in the shade C 4.25 and my MAC 248 brush, which I love this brush to carve out. The video is sped up a little bit, but you want to take your time and just, you know, just making sure that you're being very precise with it, because this is really, like I said, the most important part. So just want to slowly clean that up, and just really to avoid, because it's easier to like add more and clean more up and conceal more than it is to take away. So that's just why it's so important to just like slowly carve out and get your shape. Now I'm going to grab my Wet n Wild. This is like an eyeshadow brush. It's kind of fluffy. So I'm just going to use that to blend out, blend down her concealer. You can see I'm blending in a downward motion because I want to blend that in. See, still messing with them brows. That's how I be. I want to just blend that down into the base. So I'm blending the concealer downward, and then I'm using that same brush to apply my P. Louise base in the shade Rumor 5, and I'm just going to go ahead and tap that upward into the concealer. So basically tapping or blending the concealer downward and then blending the base upward so they come together as a family and just be in a committed relationship. So then I'm going to pick up my the Nubian 2 by Juvia's palette, and I'm using this brown shade in the color Madagascar, and I'm just going to apply that right over her crease, just to kind of transition that out really softly. So I just want to do like a nice light brown, and you can see I'm doing patting motions because that's what we do around here to blend. We pat, pat, pat. All right, so I'm gonna now go into the shade Kenya in that same palette, which is a darker brown, and continue to pat that into her crease. And that's about as dark as we're gonna get. We're just gonna do some light smoke action, not too serious, just a little smoky smoke. Now I have picked up my Inglot gel liner in the shade 94. It's kind of like a champagne, little goldenish kind of liner, and I'm going to use that to cut her crease with my Morphe M224 brush, which I love this brush to carve out your crease. It really just allows you to do it in a stamping motion, and I appreciate that because I hate when I have to drag it. I feel like I get messy when I have to do that. So having one with that perfect tip that allows me to just stamp it on, it just makes my life so much easier. So just going to continue to carve until I get the shape that I want to have, which kind of takes work. You just have to continue to eyeball it and, you know, go up a little bit when you need to, and just, you know, you'll know when you have the right shape. So it's really just based on that person's eye. So just gonna continue to carve that out. Okay, y'all, let's get into my favorite part of all time, the glitters. Now, these glitters are from Glow Up Academy. They are everything. Y'all, I be giving her all my money because her glitters are so bomb. I mixed the two shades, sorry, not Glow Up Academy, Eiffel Tower and Ice Me Out. Duh, they speak for themselves. I mixed the two, and I'm not using any type of adhesive. I'm just using a very firm hand and just pressing it into her lid because that gel liner is still wet. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that brown Madagascar and start to close up her lid. And then I'm going to take that dark brown Kenya and go ahead and close it all the way up and smoke it out. Now, as you can see, I did not place the glitter at the very bottom of her lid, or I tried not to, because I want to leave that area open for my liner. It is very hard to apply liner when you're trying to draw over glitter. So that's a huge takeaway when you're dealing with glitter. Just try to leave some space for your liner if you're going to be using liner with the look, because it just makes it a lot more seamless. It just makes it glides on effortlessly, and you just don't have to try to draw over chunks of glitter and it's all kind of like rocky looking. So because we're doing like a extra dramatic kind of look with the glitter, I didn't want to do a super dramatic wing, so we did a very faint wing. You could barely tell it's there. We just kind of wanted to do a little something but not too much down there. So I'm using concealer now to go ahead and clean that up, clean her wing up just to get it nice and sharp. Now I'm taking a concealer. I actually mixed the Morphe concealer shade C5.65 and C4.25, and I mixed those to just get like a darker, I didn't want it so dark, like as dark as the darkest one I was using, the C.65, so I mixed them to get it a little bit lighter. But I'm doing this because you do not want to use a light one on the top of your brow to clean it up, because it's going to look like your brows are glowing, and that's not cute, sis. Now I'm using a spoolie to get the glitter off of her face. It's much easier than tape. I actually hate using tape now. Spoolies do all the work. Now for hyperpigmentation, I am taking that same concealer that I used to clean up the top of her brow, and I'm applying that to all the dark spots on her face. I struggle with hyperpigmentation myself. Like, I cannot leave my pimples alone when they come on my face. That's what she said. I'm kidding. Okay, so you want to just make sure that you're using a drying concealer when you're doing this, because when you spot treat, you want to allow it to dry and then go ahead and blend it out. And basically what this is going to do is make sure that those dark spots are not peeking out through your foundation once you apply it, so that you're not having to apply layers and layers and layers to cover up any discoloration or hyperpigmentation. So now I'm going to use this Juvia's Place Stick Foundation in the shade Congo, and then this ColourPop No Filter Foundation Stick in the color Deep Dark 197W, and I'm going to apply the lighter one to the middle of her face and the darker one to the outer portion of her face. And as I started to blend it in, it was just still a little too dark for me. So I went in with a lighter foundation. I think I just applied a little bit more of the Deep Dark 197 just to like brighten it up a little bit more in the middle of her face, and that actually evened it out perfectly. So you should prefer to use a darker foundation than a lighter one, because with a darker one, you can use your concealer to kind of brighten everything up. So it's not that big of a deal, but I don't know. It was just a little too dark for me. So I wanted to lighten her up just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Real Techniques brush to just press that into her skin. Now I'm going to take my ColourPop No Filter Concealer in the shade Deep Dark 52 and conceal under her eyes, her nose, her forehead, and also her chin. And then I'm going to take my Morphe concealer in C4.25 and I'm going to use that to brighten under her eye. I'm going to spray it with some setting spray before we start to blend out with our Real Techniques setting brush, and we're just going to pat that into her skin and blend that out really well. Now I'm going to go ahead and use that Juvia's Place foundation stick in the color Congo, and that's the same one I used around the perimeter of her face when I was putting her foundation on. I'm going to use that to contour her nose, the perimeter of her forehead, her cheekbones, and around her chin. Now I'm using this fluffy brush to start to blend that out. Also my concealer brush and a sponge. I kind of just go between the three just to just get a really flawless airbrush like finish, and just to really, you know, do my nose job and snatch her nose. You just want to make sure that you're going between all three of those just to really get that nose contour very precise. So I find that when I go over everything with a sponge as well as my brushes, like when I'm just kind of tag teaming with all of those, it really just, you know, gives me the finish that I love so much. So I'm using one side for the contour when I go over that, and then one side for the concealer when I go over that. Okay, now I am tapping into my setting powder. This is, I'm probably about to butcher this name, Facetelier. I'm using this loose setting powder in the shade Medium number 3, and I'm just going to go ahead and set under her eye and really all the places that I highlighted or put concealer. I'm going to go ahead and use the setting powder under it, and as you can see, I'm just really pressing it into her skin rather than just sitting a bunch of loose product on there and letting it set that way. I'm really just using a little bit of product and then just pressing it into her skin so that there's not much excess and not much to sweep away. Now I'm going to go ahead and contour her nose using a fluffy brush. I actually found an eyeshadow in one of the Juvia's palettes that I really liked for her contour. So, y'all, you can use whatever for anything. Don't think just because something is an eyeshadow, you only got to use it for an eyeshadow. You can use it for a blush, a lip color, a lip liner. You don't know how many eyeshadows I use as lip liners. So you do what you want, all right? You do what you want when you popping, all right? So now I'm going to go ahead and continue to set that, and then also while I have that powder under her eye, I'm going to go ahead and smoke out under her eye just a little bit to get ready to apply like her liner and whatnot. So I go ahead and do that while that powder is there, so when I sweep away the little excess that is down there, any of that fallout can be swept away with that, and I don't have to try to like get that off of her face later. I'm going to go ahead and use my ColourPop liner, gel liner, to apply to her waterline, and then we're just going to sweep any excess product away. Now I grabbed my Louise palette. I'm using the shade Latte in that palette, and it's like a reddish brown. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap that right under her brow just to like blend that out. I wanted to soften it up with that a little bit. So just going to apply that right under her brow, onto her brow bone, and just blend that out. Now I'm just going to take my sponge and just tap over everything just to make sure it's nice and blended out. Make sure get any excess oils, all that good stuff. Just gonna go ahead and apply some blush here now with my Real Techniques blush brush. You can see most of my stuff is Real Techniques. I love their brushes. Gonna go ahead and apply some setting spray before our highlight, and just tap that into her skin real nice. And then once that's tapped in, gonna pick up my highlight. This is a MAC highlight in the shade Glow With It, I think. Yeah, Glow With It. And I'm just gonna go ahead and highlight her nose, her cheekbones, and then her Cupid's bow, as well as her chin and her forehead. I use a really light hand for the forehead highlight. I don't like for it to be too glowy, but I do want like a little shimmer, a little glisten up there, so just not too much. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the ColourPopxShayla collab highlight. It's in the shade Pose. And I'm gonna just apply a little bit to her brow bone, her nose, and then the apples of her cheeks, just to like add a little high beam action. Now I'm gonna go ahead and apply her lashes. Y'all know these are my AliExpress lashes that I buy in bulk. I usually stack them too, but we didn't stack these. They were already pretty voluminous and lengthy, so we did not stack them. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply my Worth the Hype by NYX mascara to blend in her falsies with her natural lashes, as well as her under eyelashes. I like to bend the end of my mascara wand. It just makes the application so much easier. Then I'm going to apply her lip liner. Y'all, this is just like a hair store lip liner, so the brand is NK Makeup. I don't know, it's in cocoa. But yeah, I got it from the hair store, so I'm not sure if you can get it online or not. Now I'm using my ColourPopxShayla collab lippy in the shade Oouuu to go ahead and achieve this natural lip, and just gonna go ahead and brush that in and blend it in until it gets to my liking. Just kind of go back and forth with my liner and my lippy until it's all blended out to how I want, like that. Now I'm going to use my Anastasia Beverly Hills clear brow gel to get her brows popping in the same direction. And there you have it, y'all. I hope this video was helpful. Follow me on Instagram at GlamXTam. Let me know anything else you guys want to see, but I'll see you guys in my next video. Mind your business and drink your water. Bye, y'all.